If you're a content creator, you need to pay attention to this stream because YouTube is rolling out multi-language audio, and this could be the biggest growth opportunity that we've seen on YouTube since YouTube Shorts. The reason for this is because most of the views on YouTube, they come from outside of the United States. This is going to open up every bit of content for everyone. But today I'm bringing on somebody that's going to help me emphasize how big of a deal this is and how you should be thinking about this and how you should be using it as you get this feature enabled on your channel. But before I do that, I just want to show you the quick preview here and show you what's going on. So typically, if you go into a YouTube channel, this would typically be labeled as subtitles. Now they're updating this area to language. And what this is doing is this is giving us the ability to not just add just metadata in terms of, translating our titles and our descriptions and our captions, but also it's giving us the ability to upload audio tracks. And this is going to be a game changer for every content creator on the planet as we get access to this. As part of this, the person that I'm bringing on today, he's the founder of Vid Summit, which is the best conference for content creators that's happening this September 3rd through the 5th. It's called Vid Summit in Dallas, Texas. He's the best-selling author of the book YouTube Formula. He has a 12-week mentoring program called channeljumpstart.com where he helps content creators get massive results from their YouTube efforts. He's the executive producer of the Chosen TV series. He's even broke the Guinness World Record for the largest nativity scene. I just found that one out myself, and I think it's pretty incredible, so I had to throw it in here. But he's doing all of this while also being a loving father and husband, and he's also a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Derral Eves.
Hey, Nick,
Derral, thank you so much for coming on to the stream today. I'm really excited to get your insight on this because, as people that are in the YouTube space, we all know that you're the go-to when it comes to, this type of thing. And when something new drops on YouTube, you're always the person on top of it. You've already been experimenting with it. You already know, a lot of the information that, that is going to be coming from behind it. So thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your time and resources with us today.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I truly do believe the people that watch your channel, this is a great opportunity. There's moments in time on history or whatever that there's a moment. And I can honestly say this is one of those moments. Like, I've seen it happen before. And the first time that I actually saw it is the moment that YouTube gave creators money, because that was like unheard of. It's like, hey, we have a partner program. That's great. That was like that transformational moment. I think this is just as big because now it's going to make the world really small and giving creators the opportunity to really, really grow, where YouTube's really interested to making sure that happens worldwide.
Yeah, and with this, I was watching your live stream from last Saturday on your YouTube channel, and on there you had a guest. His name is Alex, and in his particular situation, using the audio dubs or the multi-language audio, and he basically started new YouTube channels with this using the content that he already had, and he was able to generate on one channel that was in Spanish over 9 million views on it, 100,000 subscribers in a very short amount of time. He created a German channel where he got 1.2 million views and 15,000 subscribers just since January, which is insane. And he got monetized on that particular one in 10 days. His French channel got monetized in 12 days. So from your experience with this, new feature, what kind of results are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, across the board, when someone has a deep library and they have really great content, they see instantaneous results. Like I just got an email today of one of the students that I mentor, and their Spanish channel is just popping off. I mean, more so, they're getting more views than their English channel. And it's just like, wow, there's just a great opportunity. For me, there's also a vein that gets me really excited is because, I know you know this because you live in Thailand, and I'm here in the US, and you make your occasional pilgrimage to the US, but there's so many talented people all around the world, and their English might not be as good. And this is a tool for them too. It's like we can be reversed, where it's like, oh, we're going out to the world. Well, no, every language we can actually hit, and YouTube's making the ability for all content, giving us to really localize it on a personal level with people as content creators, and then also as viewers.
Love it. And with that, so of course, if you're an established creator, you're obviously going to be, using this feature so that you can, just expand your reach everywhere. It makes the most sense. For new content creators, this is definitely something they want to tap into as well, right? So that they can basically, give themselves that opportunity to reach audiences wherever, that particular audience is going to respond to them. Is that, am I thinking that the right way?
That is the right way. Like I look at what is your possibility to really succeed on YouTube, and it's actually taking you a lot further in directions that we didn't have the ability to do. So let me kind of explain how YouTube operates. So like if I'm a content creator, I'm making content in English and I'm localizing it. The highest probability of it being seen is in my geographic region. And then as the visibility and discovery happens, and it can go a little bit more global, but you only reach so many people. Like if people are logged in Spanish, they're in South America and everything's in English, even if it's like you have subtitles, it's still not necessarily going to connect with them. And there's some reach issues, because what happens is people who see it don't understand it, they move on, even if it's an amazing video. This actually bridges something that's pretty amazing, which is changing out the meta information. Number one, that's your title, your description, your tags. Also, it's generating a closed caption, and then captions itself in that native language. And now it's doing the audio. So like if I'm logged in Spanish, I'm only seeing the Spanish version of it. Like if there's actually an audio translation, I'm seeing the Spanish meta information as the title and description. And then also I'm seeing and watching a video that has that audio dub if this is actually set up properly.
So with that, as we are, all going to be transitioning into the multi-language audio, what do you think about things like text and thumbnails as an example? Like, would you recommend, just as a preparation measure, that until that type of thing can also be swiped out, do you recommend content creators start kind of pulling back a little bit on the amount of text that they use in thumbnails and things like that, try to lean more on symbolism and imagery and things like that to kind of make it, to kind of remove that barrier, so to speak, of people clicking into the content?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of using text on thumbnails. You know that very specifically. I wrote the book on that. I think you got to be able to explain what's going on
literally
visually, without any text. And if you need text, it should be very intentional and be limiting in that regard. However, YouTube is literally making it like their roadmap is literally trying to localize it in all the different ways. And so switching out thumbnails and even video files is on their roadmap. So like if you have a video and you lip syncing and you have your correct graphics that are displayed. And what's really cool is YouTube's always had these tools. I think I did a presentation like 8 or 9 years ago. It was like talking about how YouTube can identify what's actually in the frame, but then they can also change it. It's like they can change that one specific image, and a video's multiple images all at once. And so YouTube's definitely on the forefront. They just move a little bit slower because this is a very complex system, what YouTube is. And so they'll start with audio. They've been doing that for about three and a half years. And now they're moving into making it more mainstream. As they make it more mainstream, what's coming next, which is the thumbnails. Like I can guarantee you, they already have A/B testing and things that are happening right now. And to do this wouldn't take too much in that discovery system. And so really excited about what YouTube's doing. I think it's in really good benefit for all of us. But I do want to make this one caveat. Where YouTube's slow, Nick, it might take 3-5 years before they can really roll something out, even if it's on their roadmap. And you might have this opportunity now. So like I have a student, she's in Florida, and she's like, I really have a lot of people coming in for Spanish, but I don't want to use the multi-track, audio on my main channel. I want to give them the full customized experience, just all in Spanish. And so what she's doing is changing out the thumbnail, and then what you're saying is translating, and she has her thumbnails already, and she's just saved it in Photoshop, and she's able to put the words in there that actually mean something. And then two, as she's going through her video, she's replacing that and having an actual file that's more impactful for someone. And so what's been crazy on that, her channel just started to pop off. I mean, she's getting, like I was saying earlier, she's getting more views on her Spanish channel right now than her English one. And I think it's because she was able to take more intentional approach with the viewer. She has all the assets, was able to use, AI to get what we need, and then ultimately had a product that was better fit for the viewer.
Nice. And if you are just joining us, what we're talking about right now is multi-language audio on YouTube. YouTube is releasing features. They're rolling this out to where we are able to upload audio tracks into our back end of our YouTube channel, into our videos. And if somebody is exploring YouTube and they're looking for content to watch, they're going to present that doesn't speak, the language that you create your videos in, then you can currently translate your metadata, which is your title and your description and your subtitles into, a bunch of different languages, and they're going to see it in that language. And then when they click on the video and they come into the video using multi-language audio, they're also going to hear it in their language. And this is really incredible technology. So Derral has actually built a tool that will help us be able to do this extremely efficiently. And it comes through and it sounds like it's in your own voice, which is also pretty incredible. That was a huge surprise for me when I was demoing it, is I was like, wait a minute, I was just expecting it to sound like some AI voice or something like that, but it came back and it actually sounds like me, which completely blew me away. But Derral, you have some information, you have some slides. I know that, that you want to share some.
Yeah, let me, if we could do it to number 2, that would be great. We'll start with that one. But okay. I think it would surprise everyone that usually when we think of YouTube, it started in the United States and in English, that all the views are coming from here. But realistically, over 70% of all YouTube's watch time actually comes outside the United States. And so there's this huge opportunity and market. And then for everyone, like I've been on this for a while, and believe it or not, when I was working very strategically with Mr. Beast years ago, he had the desire to actually be the world's biggest YouTube creator. And he actually knew that he could only reach so many people in English. Like he understood the data and so on. And what was crazy was, as we were going through it, he was able to create channels that were very specifically made for viewers across the world. And I do remember the Spanish channel, the first one we launched that. What was interesting is he was using a real person to dub it. Like he'd find, a voice actor, and you'd have voice actor for Mr. Beast in Espanol, and then he'd have the different things from there. And he was able to grow really, 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 really fast. And then ultimately that led to YouTube saying, look, I know that they know where things are going. They wanted to kind of consolidate where it's all in one place. And so they actually consolidated all his channels onto his main channel. And right now he'll have anywhere between 15 to 16 audio tracks when he actually releases the video. Now, this is what's really cool. And what I really, really, really love is when he releases the video, he gets hundreds of millions of video views on that video within about a week or so. And the whole reason is because he's going more global. He's like literally being localized in 15, 16 different languages. And that could be like 20, 30 different areas in the United States based off that. And so when you're able to see that, you can switch out the auto track. So like people in Turkey are hearing in Turkish, which is awesome. I have a son that spent some time as a missionary down in Brazil, and he would go down and, Mr. Beast is taking off in Brazil. And he's like really, really at a fast rate. And when you realize that Brazil is like the second most viewed language in the world right now, beating out even Spanish, it's crazy what they're doing and adopting. But the crazy thing is that everybody's starting to follow them. He's able to get that momentum. And then 2, he's inspiring other people. So basically what's happening is we have the ability to have greater audience reach. Now, this is where I always like to the caveat. What Mr. Beast does is what Mr. Beast does. And a lot of people just check out, says, well, I can't do it for me. And I'm a firm believer in, hey, he might break through and are trying new things in new ways, and we might be 6 or 7 years behind or whatever it may be, but there's opportunities for us to do it as well. And that's where you actually gave an example of one of my students, Alex. And Alex does these interviews and gets these amazing guests on, and they have these really, really enlightening discussions in his podcast. And for me, you know, I was able to go on and help him start understanding YouTube, and he was able to grow really at a fast pace. Now, his background, he was in Hollywood. I actually worked with him on another channel that he had, and then this one as well. But what was interesting was his quality of content's good, and then his set standard of what content should be is really high. And he's like, I got to do another language. And he saw my presentation at VidSummit. He said, I'm doing another language. And I said, just wait. You want to wait? Well, he didn't wait. And he's like, I'm ready to go. And I says, well, what language are you going to do? And he rattled off a whole bunch of languages. I said, stop. I go, the first language you need to do is the language that you understand. You actually understand Spanish and you speak it fluently. Your wife is a Latina. And it's like, that's your first language. That's what you need to understand. And because you'll get, you know, how to actually hone this in, because you have a little bit of, well, not a little bit, a lot of the culture, and you have the understanding. And so he actually did that. And his channel right now, this is a few days old. He's over 100,000 subscribers now or whatever on it. But it's basically taking what he learned on the English channel, and then he had a great launch strategy where he was saying, oh, these would perform really well. And we believe that this would perform really well for people in Latin America that speak Spanish. And you're able to see that within just a short amount of time, you can just see a short amount of time, it actually took off, was able to increase the baseline. And what's interesting from this more than anything else is that this gave him the ability to do something that I believe all creators are wanting, which is getting your message out there. Like, he's very passionate about this, Nick, and he wants to get it out there. Now, what's great from this, when you go watch a video on this Spanish channel, it is literally localized. Like, so localized for the Spanish viewer, because he's more intentional switching out all the video content so it engages with them. But what's great is the audio that he's using is really honed in and trained to take on very complicated words, and has a really deep vocabulary so that it's not just kind of off-putting. And what was great to see is, as he was able to translate this in Spanish, he goes, man, this is like better than what you can expect, because it's actually getting the terminology right and everything right. And then, it sounds like me. It's actually a better version of my Spanish, which is great. And so you're able to see that. This is my favorite thing. So everyone here, if there's ever a time that you go into YouTube Studio and you go to analytics, this is where you should live. Audience tab. I don't do the 1 out of 10. Sorry, guys. I don't do a lot of the things. I do real time, and this one's the most important. And if you look at the purple is the most valuable indicator of how valuable your content is. The blue is new viewers coming in. They found a video, but the purple is loyalty. The purple is returning viewers. These are people that have clicked on the video and watched more. Look at the purple line that have gone up. And I think a lot of you might see just blue, and then purple's just occasionally there when you release a video. But look at this. And what's been great is this right where it was at just last week, it's actually in a place where I like to see channels where the blue, when he releases something that's really good, it's able to pop up at times right here. And then 2, it's getting close to that purple line, but then the purple goes up higher. It's just kind of increased that baseline. And so I really do love this. And then really looking at, he's done, German. I think he was like monetized in like 7-8 days on his German channel. And then you can see just kind of what he's been able to do since the first of the year is unbelievable. And then 2, when you go into France, he wanted to do French, and I'm like, well, the French market isn't necessarily the one that I would do. I said I'd do Portuguese first, if it was me. And he's like, no, I had a lot of people in my data. I had a lot of people in my data was actually coming from Canada, and then also from France. And so he knew that there was an audience there, and he was able to launch that. Now, he's still launching Portuguese, and the Portuguese is actually coming soon. But look at this. I mean, it's just like, it took a little bit of time, but then it just started to take off, even in France. And so once again, my favorite graph right here is seeing that purple come above the blue. That means his content's really good and is able to engage in there. So let me give you one last thing. So this is a text that I got. And if you can see immediately, like like someone saw my stream, went on, did the dubbing, went through it, you know, and was able to do this on a channel, and look what it's doing here. It's just good content will always be good content. If you really localize it properly, which YouTube's giving us the ability to do this, it's like they're giving us the permission, they're giving us the tools, and why wouldn't you want to take advantage of this and really expand your market size? Let's go ahead and kick off two real quick. And I want to just state this. This is really, let's move this down. Let's just go full screen if we can, Nick. Sorry. I want to kind of explain this because I think you will appreciate this, Nick. And this is something that I care about deeply. It's like, at certain times I was looking, what is that hack? What is that one little thing that I can do to get advantage? You know, and I was always looking for that, but hacks go away. They just do. Okay. What survives is when you're in line with the mission and the vision and the goals of an organization. So for YouTube, all they want to do is predict what the viewer wants to watch and get them to stay on the content longer. Now, here's the thing. They have a repository of some of the most amazing content that the world's ever seen, but it's not localized. It's only localized for 30% of the watch time viewership. It's like, let's get it out all 70. So for them, it's like good content deserves to go out to the world. And then two, you know, that's kind of their roadmap. And I'm here to tell you, YouTube is very, very passionate to localize it. I've been in meetings 7, 8 years, 9 years ago that they did this roadmap. They said, we're going to do this. And I'm like, good luck. That's very complicated because of the way that YouTube is. It's just like really, really big. It's not like they can just flip a switch and make everything happen. There's a lot of things that's going on, but YouTube's made the steps for us creators to really impact the world. I'm like, holy cow, we have this ability to take our passion and our love for something and to actually take steps to actually localize it in different languages. And that gets me the most excited. And so let's do, like Nick, before we get into showing them the tool and what they're able to do from this, I know, one of my prides was writing a book, and I went through and I was very clear with the publisher. I says, if I can actually write something that has value, I want it to go out in multiple languages. And I got it. I got this book right here is one of my favorite books of all time. It's a YouTube formula, but it's in Thai. And I love this. And I have it translated in German, Die YouTube, that was pretty funny when I got that, in Portuguese, Spanish. I mean, everything's there. And I have like 8 languages that it's translated in. Well, YouTube's doing the exact amount of thing. It's like YouTube sees this content as super valuable, and if it really is valuable, it's going to extend the reach. They don't care who's clicking on it. They don't care where it's coming from. They don't care this. All they want to do is predict what the viewer wants to watch. And if it's this video that's been 10 years old that is now translated, you're going to get views on it. I've seen it firsthand. Good content will surface it around the world if it's actually localized.
Yeah, and another thing too that I think is kind of an elephant in the room is, because you've traveled a lot. I live, in Asia, and traveled, a decent bit too. They're like different cultures have different hobbies, different things that they're into, and things like that. And because of that, from the other end, it's going to open things up for us to where we're going to be able to experience all kinds of really amazing things that people are doing elsewhere in the world that we just don't have access to. But so for us, reaching out, the same thing applies. So, depending on who's watching right now, the type of content that you have, you might have a craft thing that you do and you think to yourself, hey, this is only good for, the people in my area or the people that would be able to directly understand this or something like that. But when you put that into another language where that other people can consume it in another country, you might start a whole thing in that other country where you start a whole, I don't want to call it an epidemic because that's probably, a bad way to say it, but, like you could start a whole trend, so to speak, in another country based on people being introduced to that way of crafting or that way of, doing things in the way that you do it. So I think the opportunity here is absolutely staggering just based on that alone, not just, having it accessible in terms of, our benefit as a creator, but also what we can actually put out there and, and create ripples into, other regions and things like that. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and I think too, it's and this is a really important point. Just because you can get something translated and dubbed doesn't mean it's going to be localized. And so, I actually put my life on hold many years ago, and I went to South America, and I learned 2 languages. One is a local language there called Guarani, which is it's a very amazing language. It's complicated, in so many different ways. And I learned Spanish, and then really close to Brazil, so I can understand some Portuguese. I usually just speak Spanish, and they can kind of understand me or whatever. But it's just like it's really interesting. And then words matter. Like there's certain words regionally that are different or very offensive, and that's why this is really important to look at it and really understand the best way to do this. And so when we developed the tool, it was more taking that into consideration. I wanted to have the tonality of the creator, because this tool was made for creators. Like I'm here to tell you, I wanted it to sound exactly like the creator, have the emotion and the intensity of a creator or whatever, but then understand the nuance of culture. That like if you yell in some languages, it's very offensive, but it needs to understand how to do that dub, and that's what we've actually created. And so I'd like to show you, my most favorite example, and if you wouldn't mind going to one, that would be great. I'll show you this translation right here, but I want to show you this one first, because this is what gets me the most excited when I wake up, outside of doing this for my passion project, which is The Chosen. I want to get The Chosen out there to 1 billion people, but this is something that I'm really, really excited about. So this is one of my students, and what's been great is, let me see, maybe, here we go. There we go. Okay, here's one of my students, and he's a German creator, and his love is really around health and fitness and understanding your body. And here's his German, and it's a great channel out there. It really is. But let me just play just a few seconds of it.
Das schädlichste Lebensmittel, das dein Herz zerstört. Es gibt ein Lebensmittel, das ihr Herz massiv angreifen kann und vermutlich schlimmer ist als Zucker und Omega-6-Fettsäuren.
Okay, so that's his German. That's his native language, and he's been always, Derral, I want my message to get around to more people, And he speaks English. And his English, there's some limitations, like he can't have the full vocabulary of what he wants, but he's really passionate about what he does. And so what I want to show you now is his English, and I want you to hear it, because this is where it's fun. We wanted to be very intentional that if it is whatever your native language is, that you can hear, hey, do you know what? We understand the words, and we can kind of tell that he's a foreigner. I know that seems really weird, but for us, that was really important. And so you can do it where it doesn't sounds more local, where it's localized, where it's like, okay, it sounds like you've always born there or whatever. But I wanted to give him a specific accent, very specifically, so he sounds German, but he speaks perfect English. So listen to this. It still just kind of blows my mind.
The most detrimental food that wreaks havoc on your heart. There exists one particular food that can severely assault your heart and is likely more harmful than both sugar and omega-6 fatty acids when combined. It would be an absolute catastrophe.
So that right there, I love it. I love it because you can hear that little bit of accent, and it's just like it makes it him. It literally makes it him. I mean, Nick, most people will just do the AI voice, whatever. They're trying to localize it perfectly, and it just doesn't sound like him. And so for us, we wanted to have it. And then here's Spanish. So he wants to go into Spain area because he's closer to Spain than he is Latin America. And so, this is not Castilian Spanish. This is actually just Spanish that in the region of Spain. But check this out.
El alimento más dañino que destruye tu corazón. Hay un alimento que puede atacar su corazón de manera masiva y probablemente es peor que el azúcar y los ácidos grasos omega.
Okay, so anyone that speaks in Spanish in the comments, you can go ahead and see that. But I literally love his accent, even in Spanish. You can hear it in Spanish. So I speak Spanish, it's like it's there. But it's like this super connection nod that, do you know what? you know, there's people around the world and we can understand each other. And then two, if it's like, oh, there's like a slight accent, that's great because that's what he sounds like in English. That's who he is. And so it's really, really, really beautiful. Another thing that we've been working on in so many different ways, which is intentionality of the message and then coming across, there's a lot of tonality. And if you really see our AI, we're very intentional in that. We want to be able to make sure that if you're like doing a presentation and like me, and I have a lot of energy, that it takes it down a few notches because it might be offensive in another language. And so that's probably my favorite thing. And then two, as you're well aware, Nick, I love the world. I love to travel. I love people. And what I love is, and I might get a little emotional, but I love the opportunity of YouTube. And seeing it transform lives. I went down to Brazil 8 years ago, and they didn't even know what YouTube was. They were trying to do it. And I had the first conference. I went down there, and a good friend invited me to be the keynote speaker. And I love seeing channels that were birthed at that meeting and now are the dominant YouTube channels right now on YouTube that YouTube's looking at as the examples. Like there's people down there that are just so impactful. And so for me, my education of helping people understand, it needs to be in all languages because I want to see not only that happen where they can provide for their own families, but create businesses and hire people and do this whole thing. That's why I love YouTube so much, is because this right here is transformational. It doesn't hold you back. And so I'm going to go ahead and play. This is my presentation at Vid Summit. And this is like really, really important to me because I wanted to do case studies, and it was talking about, things that I think where YouTube's going and case studies that you can learn from it. This is my presentation. I'll play it in English real quick. That I am obsessed to truly understand the viewer. Now, the biggest thing for me was in 2012, YouTube went from a view-based algorithm to an AI. Okay, I love this. And so I was like setting the stage for this, but I want you to see, so this is a presentation style. So what I love about the AI, it understands the environment of it and it's recreating how you would present. And so here's me presenting in Spanish.
Sé que estoy obsesionado con entender al espectador. Lo crucial para mí ocurrió en 2012, cuando YouTube cambió de un algoritmo basado en vistas a uno de inteligencia artificial.
And I love it. I mean,
that's incredible. It's even picking up the ambience of the room.
It does.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like it didn't just isolate your voice and do that. It also it picked up the environment that you're communicating into. That's incredible. Wow.
Well, what's cool about it too is, you know how complicated edits are with even audio tracks, like sound effects and music and all of this other stuff. Well, this isolates every speaker. It says, oh, here's a speaker, this is who they are, and it isolates them. You can name them of what it is, and it creates like a clone of who they are. So like we have a video, and I'm really passionate about this, but we have videos that I might have 50 different speakers in a video, and it basically will individualize all the, every voice to every speaker that's there. And it's some of the most complicated shots with all the different audio transitions. So what it does is it isolates and then it extracts, and then two, you can actually do it without the audio, out the music, all that other stuff. You're able to pull it down the files to use if you want to put it in Premiere or Final Cut or whatever, do it yourself. But what's cool is the ability that it puts it back in and blends it in. So like it can strip it out. If you have music in the background, it can strip it out and then translate it, put it back in, and you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know it, which is so cool. And then two, I think the big thing for me is when you really lock it down. We can go away from this slide real quick, but I think the really big thing for me, Nick, is that we now have the tools. We now have the technology. And I want to put a word of caution to everyone out there. There is an AI revolution happening right now, and there's so many cool things to do. I've just seen things over the course of my history on YouTube that you need to be hyper aware. Never break the terms of service, ever. Okay. And then 2, try to understand the roadmap of where YouTube wants to go. So for me, I know that there are people like, oh, I'm going to take other people's content and translate and put it in another language. You will be banned. You'll be blacklisted, whatever. There's going to be an AI apocalypse. I can tell you it's going to happen. It is. And it's going to be painful. That's just what happens on YouTube. This right here is do it the right way. Do it the right way and you're going to succeed. It really is, because you're really in line with YouTube's mission. And it's more about taking your valuable library that you have and making it in multiple languages, but then moving forward, doing it in all languages. Like you can actually start extending the market. Be the case study that YouTube wants. Like if you're the case study that YouTube wants, it's unbelievable what you're able to do. And that seems to be
the rule when it comes to new features like this too. In terms of like, hey, these people are using them. So like a way to think about it is, like when Shorts first dropped, right? The first people that were using Shorts, because there wasn't tons of competition for it. So because of that, it was like, hey, it was like a free for all. With this, I'm assuming it's going to be similar where, they're going to be testing like, hey, how are people responding to these? How are people responding to these? Which is going to put you in front of a lot more people there and give you the opportunity to have, potentially explosive growth, especially based on, the data that you showed earlier from some of the channels.
Let's just be clear, Nick. It's like they don't need to test too much. It's just like, let's just open up the market because only 30% of watch time is coming from this region. And if you're getting 70%, you're gonna like, even if it was just small, it's just like, okay, huge, right?
On math,
But what I do love is this is going to inspire so many people to create. And what I love too is there's certain regions that they're really good consumers. They're really good viewers of YouTube, but there's not a lot of creators. But giving the ability for good content to be done in their native tongue, in their mother tongue, is going to inspire new creators. And I love this. I love it. I love where YouTube's going with this. I'm super passionate of how intentional they are with this, because they don't have to do this, but they want to do it. And I want to share something, because YouTube doesn't, they don't flex in the right ways, right? I found something out, and this was like 8-9 years ago, and I'm like, this is the most bonkers thing ever, and why don't you talk about this? Because they do all these different projects that nobody knows about. One was and they actually went to Thailand and Vietnam and all that region, kind of where you live in there. And what they'll do is they make a global effort, and they want YouTube creators. And so pretty much Ben Grubbs and his team years ago, they were actually going over and paying people 2 years their wage just to create YouTube content. So they say, don't work anymore. You're an attorney. Here's an example of that. And I'm going to go ahead and they started to seed these YouTube channels and paid for, hey, here's a team and here's the resources, whatever. And it's unbelievable what's happening. And I've seen it everywhere that YouTube did that is now where YouTube's really flourishing. And now, but realistically, that's a lot of hands-on touch. Where they don't need to do that anymore. What they just need to do is make the tools accessible and then really extend the reach. And so there's certain regions that might only be a few million people or tens of millions of people, which you think is like super amazing, but it's not. It's like really, really small. But now these tools that YouTube are giving us access to will get it out to the world. It will literally get it out to almost 8 billion people. It's crazy. That's crazy.
And if you think about that, like at scale, if you start adding all of these languages to your content, then you might pick up a bunch of thousands of people in one area, a bunch of thousands of people in another area, multiple thousands of people in another area, and all of that is definitely going to accumulate over time. So the opportunity is absolutely staggering. Learn Spanish World. He's in the chat right now. He actually teaches people about Spanish. And when you did the Spanish demo, his response is, "Wow, that's amazing," and dumbfounded. And then Shark Trapper says that you actually sound better in Spanish.
There we go. I think that is a better language for me, but because it's about passion and emotion, where English it can be misunderstood. But like I really do believe. Oh, could you do the Rene Ritchie quote right there real quick? I don't know if I can bring it up. It's like YouTube mission is give people a voice.
Got it.
I was just about to say this. It's like the YouTube literally wants to help you as creators to have your voice, but also to take it out to the world. Like literally, their goal is, hey, you're passionate, you're creating content, and there's more people like you all around the world speaking different languages, and I love it. I want to share one positive example of this, and this is something that I'm passionate about, and the whole reason why I'm doing this is because I'm passionate about certain content that I want billions of people to see it, not billions of views. I want billions of people to see it. And so this is a tool I've created and worked with the team to benefit my endeavors. But I want to talk about the one person that could be impacted. So when I was a missionary, I was down in South America, and I went into this village and was out kind of in the sticks of where kind of the rainforest ends and, civilization does not begin. It was just like very third world. And I went and was teaching a family, and it was like in a 12 by 12 cardboard house. They just kind of have sticks and they put cardboard on, tin roof, whatever. And there's like 12 people living in that house. And I was able to kind of talk with the family. And I just remember in the back of my mind, there's an 8-year-old kid that I just kind of gravitated to, and we just hit it off. It was just like my little brother type thing. And as I was teaching the family, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, man, like to really further his understanding, because he's super smart. Like, he just doesn't have there's not a lot of education options here. And it's not like he's going to an amazing school or anything like that. And he's very limited. And I just remember praying, I'm like, man, God, just give this kid a chance. And what was one of the most amazing things in my life is to get a Facebook DM, and I jumped on a call, and I talked to this kid as an adult. He has a family, and we had this huge conversation. And this is why I love YouTube. He got a phone, had internet connection. They didn't have the amenities of life, but they had a phone that he had access to. And he took courses from MIT and Harvard to learn how to program. And
Nice.
What was amazing is he learned English, he did that, and now he's living in Uruguay. He took his whole family that was like living there, all their extended relatives. That's what they do, the Latin American culture. And they all moved to Uruguay. He's making like $300,000, $400,000 a year as a programmer and a developer. And it's like that is transformative. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because I've seen it firsthand impact lives by giving people access, not just the voice, but access. And there's so many different things. So I look at all these different amazing content that's out there that deserves to be localized, because there's people out there just like him that could be impacted. Who knows? They could be the next person that's changing and transforming something in the world that we live in by being inspired by a video. That's the whole reason why I'm all for this. And so what I do want to say, and this is more important for everyone, is if you sign up, if you go to dittodubbing.com and you sign up, it's free. Just sign up. You can test it out. You actually went and tested it out, and I'd love to hear your experience and your feedback on it. But what you're going to do is you're going to have access to the training of how to utilize it the right way. And I'm telling you, there's so many people that says, okay, I'm all in, and they go do it, and they just do it the wrong way. Well, I want to make sure you do it the right way, and I want you to make sure that you do it in sync with what YouTube wants you to do. And you're going to have to make very specific decisions of how to do it, how you're going to go from there. And then I think, having those conversations. So if you go to dittodubbing.com, and you'll see my face there, and there's like a little try for free. Click on that, just create an account, and then you'll be on the list. We actually have training later today that you want to be on, and then also every week for the next little bit. But how was your experience using it? I'm very curious. I mean,
I thought it was cool. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream today, for those of you that weren't here for that, basically I went in and I did the trial, and I was, checking it out, and I translated, it was about a minute of my content, and I translated that into, I think 5 or 6 different languages. And the thing that really blew me away was that it didn't sound like, if you go to like some of the AI sites and you try to do this, what it gives you back, it sounds like a little bit robotic or like a little bit off. With this, when I went in there and I translated it, when I was playing it back, it actually sounded like me, but me speaking another language. So in a weird way, and this is going to sound kind of off, but like in a weird way, like it was kind of odd, like listening to myself speak another language that I know I don't speak, right? Yeah. So that part was really cool. I also liked that when I put in the translation, to where, you know, when I do it, that it asks me to verify. The reason that I like that part is because, you know, I have to go in and then I'm like committing in terms of like, okay, yeah, this all kind of seems right. So yeah, let me go ahead and hit the okay on this. And then I also get emails of the translations once everything is complete. So it's something where you can go in there and you can basically just drop your link to your YouTube video. It's going to translate it into whatever languages that you want. You get then you can just close it, right? Basically, you just set it up, you close it, go on about, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, and then you get an email when everything's ready, and then you can just go in and download it and start uploading it where you need to. So after that, I ended up getting, you know, an actual account. And then I've just translated, I think, into like 2 different languages. But I'm going to be translating, you know, a lot more, you know, of course, as we move forward with this, because, you know, when it comes to the multi-language audio, you know, like Derral was saying earlier, with 70% of the people that are using YouTube not, you know, being English speakers or not being in the US, the amount of reach that gives us is just massive. And, you know, the impact that Derral was talking about before, like if you make content where you are serving people in any way, shape, or form through what it is that you're doing, you're entertaining them, you're motivating them, you're teaching them things. One of the big advantages, and I know this just from being in Thailand, but one of the big advantages I think that we have is the way that we do things as, you know, English speakers, and as a lot of us in America, we grow up without rails, so to speak, right? We grow up without limits on what we can, you know, how we express things. We don't like dance around a particular topic because, you know, culturally you just can't come at it straight, right? Like we don't do that sort of thing. So because of that, I think that this is also going to be a huge opportunity for people that educate people on things and motivate people and all of that, because, you know, we're going to just give it to them straight versus, you know, having to, you know, dance around and, you know, whatever, you know, cultural, you know, dance that you have to do in other, you know, situations like that. So yeah. So for me, I think
I love it. I love your story, and I did something when we were testing this out. It's a pretty funny story, but so I have friends all around the world, and I love you know, language and culture and people. I just do, and I love just kind of going experience their culture. So I have some friends in Korea, and I sent them. I says, hey, I know your mom and dads are really big fans of The Chosen, and they're really big fans of the show. Well, I'm going to have my partner, Dallas Jenkins, send them a message in Korean. And I didn't say that it was dubbed. I didn't say anything. I just sent it over, the message that he communicated to them. And they were blown away. They're like, they're old school Korean too. So, I mean, they're in their 70, 80s. And they're like, his Korean is so good. I just didn't know he speak Korean. Now, I didn't send the video file. I just sent the audio file, right? And for me, they're just like blown away at his pronunciation and his intent. We could still kind of tell that he's a kind of a foreigner, but his Korean is so good. It's just like that whole thing. And so that's been my test, as I've been using that to people I know all around the world, in Poland, in Russia, you know, in Romanian, in Turkish, you know, this whole thing, and just kind of going out there, and they're just blown away. They're just literally blown away of how a person can speak this. And so for me, that's what I wanted to create. And I was able to find a team to really pull this off. And my partners here, like my partners are super amazing. They're super smart. But when it comes to it, it's more the intentionality, because this software and system was actually created with the creator in mind. Like we want the creator, we want to empower the creator to literally, like within 2 clicks, having it translated in another language, you know, and then 2, give them the control to do what they want with it. So if you look, if you wouldn't mind going back to the screen real quick, let me just kind of show you. This is pretty cool. The other one, there we go. So it's really cool is we can hit all the languages. You can see how easy it is. We can add a language. If I even want to add a different type of English, I can say, hey, I want to sound more Australian. That's pretty funny, but we can do that too. But when you come into this right here, I want to just kind of show you have different things you can do. So you can do the MP4, which is a video file, MP3, which is a audio file. You can do download a FLAC. This is actually really cool, because like this is able to take if you're a video editing nerd, you'll understand what a FLAC file is. It's really, really cool. And then you can download all the vocals. So if I have literally 30 different vocals in it, I can download each individual vocal from there. It's like so crazy. So you can really localize it, or you can internalize it if you want to use it, like I said, in Premiere, Final Cut, or whatever your editing choice is. So it's pretty amazing what you can able to do here. And what I love is actually shrinking the world that we live in, and then really giving the opportunity to take it, what you're passionate about, out to the world. Now, here's the biggest thing about ditto dubbing that I really do love is it's giving you all that have a video library an opportunity to really do something very quickly, and have it be a part of your process to extend your reach. Like YouTube's give us the ability to do this, and we now have the opportunity to really learn from, hey, well, here's our top performing videos. That's what I'd first start with, and if you want the full strategy, I'd go to dittodubbing.com and sign up, because I'm going to teach you how to have the right strategy. But the reality is it's an opportunity to extend your viewership, extend your audience, but also to increase your income. And I have a case study right now that they did it in the highest CPMs. They just wanted to make it available in the highest CPMs, parts of the world, and they literally tripled their income. Their income. By what? Translating it, dubbing it. So like there's so many opportunities, but anyway.
So, Derral, really quick, one question that is popping up a few times. Jevin Dobie's also in the chat right now. He said that he tried it and it works super well, super easy to use. And him and a few other people wanted to know what languages that they should start with.
Yeah, that's a great question, and let me kind of answer to this. So if you've ever traveled to an area that you understand the culture first and you understand the audience, I would probably start there. I would also look really quickly into your analytics and see which countries people are coming from, and I would consider that. Now, that being said, personally, when I talk with a student, I would say Spanish and Portuguese. And the reason why I say Spanish and Portuguese is because when you really want massive reach, there's so many people just in the United States that speak just Spanish. And so you're going to extend the opportunity there. And then two, some of the fastest consuming markets. Those are some of the fastest consuming markets, both Spanish and Portuguese. And then I would probably look at languages that do make sense and go from there. But realistically, there's a top 15 that you can do. Those are the top 15 most used. Like if you go to Mr. Beast's channel, you can see that. And then Devin, I can give you Jevin, sorry, I can give you the list of what YouTube's top performing viewership is around the world. I got access to that as well. So
yeah, pass that around.
Yeah, definitely will. Definitely will.
So another question that we have here is this something that will help small channels?
Yes, I have seen it where channels that have really good content, regardless of what it is, they're still small. And what you consider small, what I consider small, might be two things. And I would say, hey, maybe they're getting 1,000 views a day. That I would say that would be small from my perspective. Now, I think all of you might think in subscriber count. I just never think in subscriber count. All I care about is active viewers. And even if you could get 3,000 video views a day, that would be a massive impact. There's no world that I believe it can't happen. If you get 1,000 views in English, you can get 1,000 views in other languages. In fact, you might even get more views in other languages, because that might be some content that does not have a lot of competition. And that's what I love about it. You might end up being
like David Hasselhoff, where he's just like a mega star in Germany. He's like a bigger star in Germany than anywhere else. Yeah.
Do you know what's really funny? We can go away from this real quick right here, but do you know what's really funny, Nick? For me, I want to take this TV show, The Chosen, out to the world. We have it dubbed. And for me, I'm a strategy, and I'm obsessed with two TV shows. One being Game of Thrones, because it's the most watched TV show of all time. And I want to dethrone Game of Thrones with The Chosen. And then the second thing is Baywatch. And you might laugh, and everybody might laugh about, hey, Baywatch, but Baywatch actually has the most amount of views because of its strategy. The strategy was to localize it. It was the #1 most translated show, and it gave access to, so if it was the only translated show in certain languages, it would just play on loop. There's Baywatch channels, and they've syndicated it all over the world in all these different languages. Well, in November, our TV show, The Chosen, dethroned Baywatch. We're the most translated show of all time, and we're actually the fastest growing show in the world right now. And we're competing, like we were #4 over the world, most consumed. Suits is just like
congratulations on that, by the way. That's
on Netflix,
incredible.
but we're #4 right now, which is crazy. So.
Nice, congratulations on that. And really quick, just to add some clarity, just for people that had just showed up. So Build with Mooney asks, do we have the same video on our channel in multi-languages? Yes. So how this works is YouTube is rolling this feature out. So not everybody has this feature at this moment in time. But as you get it, what it's going to look like is typically you see a subtitle area over here in your left navigation in your Creator Studio. That's changing to languages. And then once they change it to languages, then you can go in there. You can already translate metadata, but this allows you to upload the audio track on videos that you already have on your YouTube channel. Now, with that said, Derral has students that have created, additional YouTube channels just for this in the languages so that they can get the graphics together in those languages. They can have the thumbnails together in those languages, the video graphics, things like that. Yep. But you can also just do this, directly on the content that's already on your YouTube channel by using that feature as you get it. And also on the other channels, if people don't have access to this tool yet, to the language tool inside of YouTube, technically they can go in and just make another channel with that same content, right? They can go in and they can translate it and then just start a new channel, correct?
Yeah, here's the thing. YouTube really wants it to be on one channel. Like at the end of the day, they want it to be on one channel. However, that being said, they understand that if you localize something, you're changing out the thumbnail and you're changing out the video file to actually be localized. They want that too, right? But at the end of the day, they will consolidate it where they're just switching out video files, just like they do audio files. That's the roadmap that they're looking to do. Now, let me tell you, it's so complicated to do that because the discovery system on YouTube, when you're changing out meta information, that's one thing. But when you're changing out a video file, not the audio file is like where it does, it's very, very complicated. And so I see that, they say, oh, maybe by the end of the year or whatever. Like I've heard that all before. But I think it's going to take several years to not only test to get it right, because that is really, it's really hard. So like same thing that they did with shorts. Look how long it takes shorts to roll out, where it's not as clunky or whatever. Like it's actually a good experience now. It's going to take that same amount of time, but that is kind of where they're going. Now, keep in mind, I'm here to tell you that if you have channels in other languages and it is just like localized for them, and you already have that, I can see a world where it could be combined, and YouTube's done that before. I've seen it happen, But what you don't want to do is just spam. Like, don't treat this as spam. Be very intentional. Be very unique. If you have the feature, I'd probably put it on the main channel if it was for me. And if you want 1 or 2 markets that you really want to put the energy and effort into to make sure it is localized from top to bottom, all the details done, then yes, then you can start another channel. But that's the whole reason why if you go to dittodubbing.com. And if you sign up for free, you'll be on our training list, and I can tell you and show you case studies of what we've done, and you can make better informed decisions instead of just saying, I don't know what to do, whatever. And then 2, just don't always listen to what people are saying to do. That's very dangerous to do that. Just know, hey, YouTube has this feature, and let's do that. And then maybe you can request on Twitter, hey, I'd love to be a part of the next beta. But I'm here to tell you that they're expanding out. They're expanding out at a fast rate. And we'll see more and more creators and channels like you watching this right now are going to have access within just a few months.
Yeah, so head over to, if you want to, try this out and, kind of take it for a test drive and see what it does with your content, you can head over to dittodubbing.com. I've got it on the screen here right now. If you're just listening to this in the background, it's dittodubbing.com, so that you can check it out. Just see. right? Like for me, I'll be honest, when I went in, I was like, well, Derral made this, so I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But I mean, how awesome can it be, when I'm translating the languages, right? And what I was expecting versus, what I got out of it, I was completely blown away. Like I was expecting it to be good, but in terms of how good it was, like, I'm not sure if you were here earlier in the stream today, but he also showed where it translated his presentation. And in that particular scenario, that blew me away even more. And the reason for that is because when we're sitting here talking right now, we have, these microphones and all of that. So the audio is really concentrated on our voice. So that part, would seem probably easier, to translate. But when he showed the clip of his presentation that had been translated, it even understood the environment that he was in and recreated his voice based on the environment so that it felt real and it felt like you were actually watching him speak that language when you were listening to it. And for me, I think that's a huge leg up compared to, services that offer, similar things, because most of them, what they do is they will take the audio, at least from my research, they'll take the audio that you say, and then they just have an AI that just kind of repeats, what it is that you say, and they do it that way. But in his case, it actually is capturing the environment and making it more realistic. And I think that's really important, especially if somebody's clicking into your video, you want it to feel right. That's a little nuance that people don't really think about. But, if somebody's clicking into your video and they're expecting a presentation, if it sounds like that, then you want it to sound like that. If you're in your workshop, then you want to have that natural ambience that you would normally have if you, in the videos that you make now while you're in your workshop. So I think, little details like that are massive. And one of the things that helps ditto dubbing stand out. Derral.
Yeah, I want to say this. We had this conversation before we jumped on the live, but we live in a Star Trek world. I truly do believe we're at the beginning of making the world a lot smaller, and then having the understanding of the world come together on a lot of things because of AI, because of this technology. I dream of a world where I can speak English and on a live stream like this, and everyone will hear and understand what I'm talking about. I dream of that day. Like in any language that they speak, I dream of that day. I'm here to tell you guys, this is just the beginning. What you're seeing right now and what's being developed, I think we're going to see that just not in a very long time. I think we'll actually see the day that we can jump on a live stream, speak, and then it will be all auto translated, all really done in a great way that can really impact the world. And so for me, I really get excited with it. And then, Nick, I like to stay on the forefront. I've been doing dubbing my whole career. I've been working on it. I actually had there's gold play buttons over there that are Spanish channel type stuff. And I had my daughter, learn these words, and we'd capture it in Spanish, and, we'd just use this. I've been doing this for years, but this gives me the tool now that I can do it in seconds and get it very, very accurate. And then two, it gives me a lot more control as a creator, because once it's done, I can really, really hone in on this the right way and really expand my market share, expand my viewership, expand that passion to passionate people around the world, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're doing a great job with with this. And I think also, for all of us content creators, when it comes to things like this, one of the things that you commonly see just, when you're hanging out in like new content creator communities is people will say things like, why is this channel, doing so much better than my channel, and, things like that. In a lot of cases, it's because they're doing the things that you're not willing to do. So, when it comes to opportunities like this, it's looking at it like, okay, well, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to do this. There's going to be a lot of people that won't take advantage of it. And my guess is that the ones that are not going to be doing this are going to be the ones that are going to be the people that are going to be like, man, what are these people doing? They're just blowing their channels up. But another thing that I also want to be clear on, because Anna mentioned in here, she says, so creating a playlist on my same channel, adding my Spanish videos would be okay now, right? No. So basically with this feature, what it is you add the audio to your existing videos. And when you add that audio to your existing videos, as somebody comes into the content, it automatically defaults to their language. And then they get to experience the content, and you don't have to upload a bunch of videos to your channel. In fact, you do not want to upload 2 different languages to the same YouTube channel, because then it complicates everything and it makes it more difficult to, get what you're after there. So the whole thing is about taking the content that you currently have, uploading the audio tracks as you get this feature on YouTube. Some of you might have it already because they are already rolling this out. I have it on my channel. So if you go into your content, you'll actually see if you have this currently on your channel or not.
Yeah, and then I think Tech Stunts was asking if it could be translated on old YouTube videos. Absolutely, like that's my whole thing is you have this amazing opportunity of a deep library. Like this gives you the advantage. What I would do though with the old videos is see the ones that really performed really well and do those first. I don't think every video that you made should ever see a full translation dubbing on it because some of them might not be worthy to see. But that's just me. I'm just one of those guys that is just like, hey, I'm very critical. But if it's a really good performer, absolutely. I think if it's seen momentum, you can definitely get that translated as well.
Have you noticed just from your experiments so far, and a few people asked this one earlier as well, any languages in your experience that haven't responded well to dubs? Like in terms of, I know that you are recommending people prioritize those top 15.
Yeah.
But is there anything to where you're like, from our testing, it doesn't seem like these languages are responding yet, or have you ran across any of those?
There's just been more opinion. I've been steering people away from certain markets. And one was, I had this huge debate with one of my students, and he's like, I want to do Swedish. And I'm like, dude, everyone in Switzerland freaking speaks English. And their English is better than mine. It's like they speak six languages. It's just like, that's what it is. He's like, well, that's true, but I want to do it in Swedish. I'm like, why? Why? Because their consumption is not different, than anything else. And so I think the thing for me, and knowing the market, there's certain areas that would rather see, basically a subtitle. They'd rather read it. In some markets, the ones that we actually selected are markets that actually will consume it. And every one of the markets right now is a budding market on YouTube. And we're adding more languages, but we're very honed in on, hey, we want to make sure it's a good fit for all markets. So no, we have not seen where it did not take off. I think the big thing for us is just knowing how big the market is. I think there's certain market sizes, like the Netherlands. Like another one I probably wouldn't do is like Dutch. It's like every person. Even bigger YouTubers I know, they all speak English. It's just like, yeah, you could do it, but your market size is maybe, 10 million people, or whatever, which is a really small market size.
So really just to get more bang for your buck, you just want to go for the popular stuff. And then that way you can be like, okay, yeah, this is working. This is working. And then you can take that and just kind of, reinvest it and all of that. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So again, the tool that we are talking about right now, it's called Ditto Dubbing. And basically the process is you create an account over there, and you can create a free account so that you can test it for yourself. You just go to dittodubbing.com. And then how it works is you just grab the URL of your YouTube video, or the actual web address of your YouTube video. You can hit the share tab. It works that way too, and grab it there. And then you drop it into the interface, and then it's going to, have the video show up there, and then you just hit the plus icon for whatever languages that you want to add to it, and you'll be able to see, how it responds to your content when you put it up. But I was completely blown away. Absolutely blown away.
Amanda Loves Music asked, does it work with music? And I want to address this because it's really important. I have traveled around the world, and when I hear people sing songs, I'm like, man, their English is so good. And then I go to talk to them, they don't speak English. Right. But yeah, they're saying every word that's there. And so, no. We're not using it where it's doing it in music. There's some complication in that. And plus, I don't think as an artist I'd want that, because there's so many people that love the lyrics. Like I like K-pop. I know it's weird, but it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the audience development portion of it. I don't really do music, but it's really interesting to see it. And like for me, it's like, I don't know Korean. I don't know what this is, but for me, it's interesting, and there's a flavor of the culture into it. And so, when it comes to that, yeah, you could do it technically, but I don't think it's not gonna yield the same result, that you really want. So.
And another question that I have is, have you noticed so far, and I guess it'll be different for every channel, but I know some of the examples that you showed earlier where, like the one channel where he started using this and then within, I guess it's, just a few months now, he's monetized in like 12 days. And he's got, I think, 15,000 subscribers in that particular example. In that time, 1.2 million views. In that particular case, he was monetized in 10 days on the German and then 12 days in the French. So have you noticed when it comes to the translations that it takes a little bit of time to build those audiences up, or from your experience, is it happening, kind of fast? Because you know how it is in terms of you having to test it and figuring out who's responding to it and everything.
Yeah, it just depends. We're actually getting all the data. I'm a data nerd and I like the data stuff, but those that are creating new channels, it's getting picked up really, really fast. Like YouTube has something when you create a new channel that it just gives you a little bit more visibility. And if you've selected the right type of videos, then it can bring in the new video viewers into a returning video. It just surfaces your videos really well. And if you're really strategic on that, and that's what I'll train if you sign up for dittow.com, your free account. But the thing with the other content I found too is we have a test that's going right now where it's 10 of the best videos you've ever produced, and you've translated that, and then this is all in the multi-language feature on the main channel, and then we took 5 old videos. And within about 7-8 days, it seems to be getting traffic on the old ones. Because what you're doing is, and this is just nerdy for everyone, but what you're doing is you're giving it a title that's translated, you're giving it a description that's translated, you're giving an audio file. YouTube is re-indexing it and getting it out and extending it into another market. And so for us, we've seen that happen within trickle traffic coming in. Day 1, day 2, day 3, it gets a little bit more intense, 4, 5, but about 7, 8 is when it's kind of going full steam in that. On the popular ones, we've seen it like within 24, 48 hours. It's just like,
oh, wow.
It just understands that. It's not hit every video. It's kind of hit or miss, but that's YouTube. You don't know, you don't know what's responding on YouTube. You can just see where it's responded on YouTube. But yeah, that's a very typical thing for sure.
Okay. And again, for those of you that are just joining us, the recommendation also that he gave earlier is to start with the videos that have already performed well. And the idea behind that is if you have content on your channel and people have already responded to that in a positive way, then that content is something that, you have kind of like the best chance of kind of penetrating in with that. So, you don't want to go and say, hey, these videos didn't do well, so let me, do those first to see if I can bring them to life. Instead, you want to say, people really enjoyed these, so let me translate these so they can enjoy them in other regions as well.
Right.
All right. Well, Derral, thank you so much, one, for making this tool, because this is going to be a game changer. Thank YouTube for, making this possible for us as well, because this is going to be a game changer all the way across the board for everybody that uses this. And thank you for your time, for coming on here. And again, if you are, interested in checking this out, which you should be, you can create a free account over there, and you can test it for yourself. And with that, he's also going to be, because, a lot of the questions that are coming in are about, like, hey, what should I do? What languages should I, put in and all that. And Derral is a data-driven person, and he's actually putting out training based on, the information that they've collected so far and all of that to guide you in terms of the best, moves to make when it comes to using this. So go over there, create your free account, and try it out for yourself. And then, of course, keep an eye out for that training that's going to come in as well, so you can know the best possible ways to use this for yourself and with your content. And Derral, thank you so much for coming on, man.
This is one last thing. I know it was really nice what you said. There's just moments in time that if you take the opportunity now, it will impact you for it could be for a lifetime. And this better than anyone else. You're at a point where you're like, oh man, I really want certain things. And then too, making certain decisions now. I'm just saying this is the next YouTube gold rush. I really do believe it. And the great thing about it is those that have been on YouTube, you already have the mine. You already have these gold mines that have libraries of content. And now we have the ability to extend the reach and to get that gold all around the world. And I'm not just talking YouTube gold behind me here. I'm just like, this is like your video if it's done right and it's with passion, and it has value, it deserves to see more people. It deserves to get out there to more. And this is that gold rush. And I'm telling you, you will see the next iteration of YouTube. It's all started last year, and it's going to really transition this year. It's going to be a completely different game in a year or two. And you want to be on the forefront of this.
Yeah, without question, without question. I'm excited to go in there and start, digging in myself. So far, I was able to, because I went in there, did the trial thing, was blown away by that. And then I went in and, started, adding languages. So far I got one Arabic, and then I uploaded that particular one. And then once we're done here, I'm going to go in and make a bunch more. So yeah. So also, for everybody here, if you do speak multiple languages, in my future videos, you're going to start seeing those pop up as well. So they might actually be presented to you in the, in your native language as well. So make sure that you keep an eye out for that also. But again, you can try that for yourself at dittodubbing.com. Derral, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us. Thank you for making this and just giving, creators the opportunity to take full advantage of this option that YouTube has, because, typically if it wasn't for, what you're doing, you'd have to pay a voiceover artist to do this. And that costs a substantial, amount of money. So being able to do this programmatically, the way that you're doing it is awesome for content creators and very much appreciated as a content creator. So thank you. Thank you for putting it all together. So again, everybody, you can check that out at dittodubbing.com. Have an awesome rest of your week. If you have any questions, just go ahead and leave them in the comment section. If you're watching this on the replay, and I'll try to answer as many of them as I can there. But in the meantime, just go to dittodubbing.com because you'll find everything that you need over there. And have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.